Have you ever asked yourself if there exists a process which you can use to learn almost everything? I mean, you don't just learn, but also have fun and love while you're actually learning. Learning can be a very big challenge, especially when you don't know how it works, because we never taught in school how to learn, but they never failed to give us what we must learn. And for almost everybody, we develop techniques which are all ineffective, and many of them date back hundreds of years. But the problem is we now live in the age of information. That means for students, workers, and also for entrepreneurs, it means you don't only have to learn or study what they give you in school or at your workplace, but you also have to look for fresh information, because this is how it's worked today. What you need to know is that the most successful people in the world are long life students. That means they are constantly learning new skills. By this way, they are keeping up with their learners in their chosen field and staying apprised of what other fields might be able to offer to them. Now, how to reach the level where you become a limitless student? Let's observe the biggest problem of the student field. This is cramming. What is cramming? Google describes cramming as study intensively over a short period of time just before an examination. And what I think is that this is due to procrastination. But the problem is most people think the cramming is their most effective form of preparation. However, this is not. In reality, cramming is associated with emotional and mental and physical impairment that reduce the body's ability to cope with the environment. In other part, cramming is usually required for going all or at least much of one's normal amount of sleep. And this can wind up undermining the very purpose of cramming. There are tons of reasons for which I will never recommend cramming. So let's talk about long life student now. Take a moment and do this exercise. Think about a subject or a skill you would like to learn this month. How will you go about it? What is your current approach of the process? You can pause the video and write it down. Maybe it's okay for you when you write it down. Now, the first thing you need to know is that there are 4 levels of competence, because when you know this, you know how to approach everything you are learning. And the number 1 is unconscious incompetence. This is when you don't know what you don't know. For example, you might be not even aware that something like speed reading exists. So you are also not aware that you are not capable of doing it. And the number 2 is the conscious incompetence. That is when you are aware of what you are not capable of doing. For example, you might be aware that people have learned and read and comprehend more faster through speed reading techniques, but you yourself, you are not capable of doing it. Or let's better say, you can't do it yet. And the number 3 is the conscious competence. So here you are aware of a skill and you can also do it. But you can only do it if you position or prepare yourself to do so. And the last level is the unconscious competence. If you want to be a long life student, you have to get into it. In this step, for example, the skill like speed reading become your way of reading. Now, how to get there? I want to say, for you to get there, you need to step into this method, or let's say commit yourself to practice the habit that I'm going to giving you right now. And the first thing I will need to do is I would recommend you to do is practice active recall. I think most of us always know these things. It's when you read or learn something, for example, and try to remember everything by writing it down, and then took back what you just read or learned, and see how much you remember of it. And if you want to do this, make sure you give yourself enough time to go through the process. This is very important. And the second thing I would advise you to do is to practice speed repetition. And I want to say there are something called learning curve and forgetting curve. And the studies say that 48 hours after learning a new skill, we forget almost 80% of what we just learned. So my advice, or the advice of the specialist, will be that you learn the next day, then 3 days later, then 7 days later, and then the guarantee is that when you do that, you will retain up to 99% of the material. And the third thing I would like you to do is to manage your state. The reason of doing this is because learning is very, very state dependent. For example, if you take someone with a positive mind, he can perform more in concern of learning. Almost like everything in life, a positive mindset promotes optimal performance. And one of the most important things here is that your posture controls your state of your mind. How you sit and stuff like that can also improve your state of being. So make sure you sit the right way and do everything the right way. The next thing I would like you to do is use the sense of smell. Did that already happen to you, that when you're smelling something, it's bring you years back or it's provoke memories into you? This is what it's all about here, using one of our most remarkable senses to learn almost everything. It's very, very powerful. The next thing is music. There are some music out there which are very, very good for learning. Songs like Barak, for example. The reason why this is good for learning is because it's create an atmosphere of focus that leads a student into a deep concentration, almost in the alpha brainwave state. So the sixth habit I would like you to do is to listen with your whole brain. If you are going to unlimit your learning, you have to go into want to make sure your listening skill are fully tuned up, because there is a deep connection between listening and learning. So make sure you pay attention and listening with your whole brain. If it is difficult for you, for example, you need to train yourself to do so by anticipating what the person is saying, having empathy, reviewing, asking questions, tune off everything that can distract you. That's very important, because when you train your brain, you need to go through some steps. So now make sure you take note. You don't just want to listen, but you also want to take note. One of the good way of taking note is actually writing the way you understand the things and asking questions. Very important. So you have to think, identify, and prioritize things which are important. So this is all I wanted to say about this topic. I hope you learned something today. And if you like what I'm doing, consider subscribing to my channel. You can also follow me on social media. It's all for me. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much. Ciao.